Hello and welcome to another Betfred Sports video right here in the Quest Media Network studio. Peter, let's run through the Premier League results from the weekend. So, ended Manchester City 2, West Ham United 1, Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1, Liverpool 4, Southampton 0 and Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Of course, there were some other results from the weekend. They were the pick of the bunch for myself. Looking at that City game, Peter, 2-1 against West Ham. A good result in the end.
Yeah, it was. It was ruined to an extent by the weather. I thought it was going to be postponed at one point, but anyway, they ploughed on, and it was a workmanship sort of victory for City. Again, they showed the class against a very able West Ham side that is fast improving.
Yeah, I thought if any team were going to go to the Etihad and get a result at City, it was going to be West Ham United. Under David Moyes, a bit rejuvenated. I think they could potentially move into the top four this season. What do you make of them?
Yeah, well, you're right, they could be in the top four by this time in May. I can see that he's got them extremely well organised.
Yeah.
You do wonder about the strength of the squad, though. When you look at the two benches, City's bench could basically walk into most teams, and I thought that could be where West Ham will suffer. But the battle is on for that fourth place finish. I mean, the title odds at the moment, with Betfred have City 8-11 to win the title, Chelsea 11-4 second favourites, Liverpool 4-1. So it is going to be between those three, because next up are Manchester United, would you believe? Or West Ham have drifted now to 125-1, but Arsenal and Manchester United are both 100-1 with Betfred to get a title, and those are an indication of the top four finish prices, which have United, West Ham, Arsenal all up there looking for that top four finish, because there's going to be a battle royal for fourth place.
Yeah,
because the top three are virtually decided.
Yeah, exciting already, as Peter just said then. Chelsea are 11-4 to win the Premier League title, but judging by the performance on Sunday in the 1-1 draw against Manchester United, they just weren't at the races for myself. I mean, you're looking at the United side, on any other given day, United would have been battered, surely.
Yeah, United set up completely differently, didn't they?
Yeah.
With the new coach about to be appointed. Very, very defensive, not the Manchester United way. Completely relying on breakaways, and so it proved with Sancho snatching that goal.
Yeah.
But I did think that Chelsea on another day could have battered United like 5-0, the way that they were going at it.
Yeah.
But they've got a problem up front in terms of getting the ball in the onion bag, and I thought it took him an age to bring on Lukaku, who was crying. They were crying out for a player like him to hold the ball in that half of the pitch and put United's effectively reserve centre halves give them some problems to think about.
And you know, if there was one player who would have wanted to back against Manchester United, it's Romelu Lukaku, because let's face it, he got a lot of stick during his period at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I think that they do say that players suit a certain club. Lukaku did not suit Manchester United at that time, because United do, as we all know, rely on the counter-attacking, fast-flowing football, etc., etc. Lukaku gets the ball and builds from the top, and he's very, very effective at that. And that didn't suit United's style, so the ball was being pinged into him, and he wasn't able to control it with any great plump. So it meant that he was like a player. He just didn't suit United's style, and he does suit Chelsea's style.
He absolutely does. Well, in the post-match discussion after that game, Roy Keane came out and absolutely lambasted Michael Carrick for his team selection, basically saying Cristiano Ronaldo should have started the game. He's a world-class player. He would be relishing these fixtures. Do you think he's right?
Well, effectively, yeah. I think he should have started. You go back to the greatest manager arguably in world football, Sir Alex Ferguson, and certainly the best in Manchester United's history. He always says you start with your best players, and it's not that hard, is it? It's hardly rocket science. He puts the ball in the net. He has been doing all season. He's been brought in to do that. He's been brought in to play the big matches. He always does better in the bigger games. That was set up for him, and then to bring him on as a substitute is almost like belittling the great player that he is.
Yeah, you can't bring him to Manchester United. He's getting the reception from the fans. He's glorified, isn't he? Not just by United fans, but pretty much by football fans around the world. You cannot bring him back to a club of Manchester United size and keep him on the bench.
Yeah, well, I thought that Ralph Rangnick, who's going to be taking over United sooner rather than later, I know that Carrick denied that he had any influence on that team, but I thought the denial came too quick. He went, no, no, no. And then I wonder whether he did influence him in terms of what we're going to expect from Manchester United in the future. Because, and there is a lot of talk about the pressing of Manchester United compared with other teams, the workmanlike of the strikers, etc., etc. And Ronaldo isn't into that. So that might be, just might be, I hope not, but it could be an indication of what we can expect at United.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could, of course, see Ralph Rangnick's first game in charge this coming Thursday, because it's Manchester United hosting Arsenal at Old Trafford in the Premier League. Peter, what are the odds looking like?
Well, Betfred have United at 19 to 20 to win, Arsenal 11 to 4, so United are favourites for that. A draw is 11 to 4. We haven't sorted out the goal scoring odds yet, but we're wondering about what's going to happen about Ronaldo, because that'll obviously have a direct effect. If he plays, he'll be favourite, probably at 3 or 4 to 1.
Yep.
But he could start with Rashford, and Sancho's in form now. He's proved himself the quality player that we all expected.
Yep.
Greenwood's a little bit out of the frame at the moment. And a bit of a shout out for Phil Jones, made the bench again. Well, he made the bench for the first time for living memory.
Coming out of the shadows. But you mentioned Arsenal then at the weekend. They beat Newcastle United 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium. It's not looking too good for Eddie Howe, but just to focus on Arsenal for the moment, they're going to Old Trafford on Thursday. I know United are the favourites, but I think they should be the favourites. I think they'll beat them. I'm sorry, I do.
Well, I think there'll be the new manager Bounce will come into play in that game. I can see a draw, but I think United will have enough at Old Trafford with that crowd roaring them on. And Arsenal can crumble as they did at Anfield, so hopefully they'll have a similar atmosphere at Old Trafford as they had at Anfield.
Well, you make a good point. They did get a good drubbing at Anfield a few weeks ago, but looking at Manchester City's fixture now, they're 24 hours earlier, they're on the Wednesday night, making a trip to Aston Villa. Peter, they'll head into this game clearly as favourites. What are they looking like?
Well, they are favourites, they're 4-11 favourites. I mean, there's no stopping Manchester City at the moment. PSG victory, West Ham victory, they're on a roll. Steven Gerrard Villa team are 8-1 to pick up 3 points in that game, but I can't see other than a City victory. I think they've got far too much for the vast majority of teams in this country, if not in Europe at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we'll move into some TV news now, because unfortunately, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here was cancelled at the weekend due to the recent storms we've had. Peter, I'll tell you one thing now, I would not want to be cocooned in that castle in these freezing temperatures. But tell us a bit about how the odds have been changed and stuff like that.
Right, well, Simon Gregson is now the favourite, he's 5-2. David Ginola is 3-1. And Frankie Bridge is 4-1. So I think it's looking like it could be between those three to be King, Queen or Queen of the Jungle. I see Arlene Phillips is 100-1 now. Louise Minchin, the ex-BBC presenter, she's 25-1. Danny Miller 14-1. It is looking quite... well, we can't say hot in the jungle, can we? Very cold in the jungle, absolutely freezing. Those open fires, but I just wonder whether it's easier in the castle than it would be in the jungle, and whether how they're going to keep all those insects warm for them to eat.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be in the jungle myself in Australia. You might be next to snakes, but at least you're warm. Well, it might be chilly in the Lake District, but it's certainly warm for one man who's won a big amount of money at Betfred. Peter, tell us about the latest.
Yeah, well, this fella's, he had 5 numbers on the 49s lottery game. He bet £13 and he won 39,700. He works in a Thai restaurant and he's going to use all the money to buy himself a home back in his home country of Thailand. So he's going to use all his money, he tells me. And I asked him about how he picked the numbers, and he said 2 or 3 days ago he had a dream of these numbers had come up, all 5. So he woke up, wrote the numbers down, went round to the bookies and put them on, and won £39,000 from a £13 bet.
Well, there you go. If you do have any dreams about winning big money, follow your gut instinct, get a bet on. And if you do fancy a punt on any of the fixtures coming up this week, we've got Manchester City travelling to Aston Villa on the Wednesday, and then 24 hours later, Manchester United host Arsenal. Well, it's been great speaking to you, Peter. And if you do fancy a punt on those fixtures, Betfred stores are now open, but you can also bet online and via their app.